Okay, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies, ladies and gents, this is the time of year where I start to slow down, but I'm still doing all the time in the world. Anywho, we have some things that we're going to mention. Not going to go into any detail because I got to get some rest before my next meeting. This is Wednesday, the busiest day of the week, and yes, this has truly been a horrific and tragically busy day. We got a couple of things to talk about. The first thing, all of you have the opportunity. You can choose to take the information and study it. Stop focusing on other things. Study it. Why? This particular conversation deals with the DACA account, the deposit account agreement, or the collateral account, where your note is stored and the value of that and the money that comes from the Federal Reserve for your note is placed, that account. Well, let me show you something before. What are you doing? Stop listening. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. My dog just took off after something or someone, and I don't know what he ran after. Now, we got the fence almost completely put up, but I needs to go out there and see what he chasing because we have an understanding. Give me 1 second. I apologize. He was chasing after a coyote. They got to stay away from the property. Now, look, we got something to talk about, and it's going to be real quick because, like I said, I have to go and get some rest before the meeting, refocus, so to speak. All of you who have an agreement with a Federal Reserve membered bank, doesn't matter if you have a private loan or a home equity loan or home equity line of credit or any of that, please understand that contract is a trust agreement. Say what? No, it's just a two-party contract. That's a lie. You know, I just realized something. The contract between me and Wells Fargo Bank, that's a trust agreement. Even though it's called a promissory note, it's a three-party agreement. You see, I'm delivering the promissory note to a Federal Reserve agent. That Federal Reserve agent is responsible for delivering that note to the Federal Reserve, who then issues Federal Reserve notes on my behalf through the agent. 12 U.S.C. 414, or Section 16 of the Federal Reserve Act, Paragraph 4. I am a bank by law. The law is the Check 21st Act, Section 3, Subsection 2, or 12 U.S.C. 5002, Section 2. Specifically states, because this is banking business, my delivering a promissory note to a Federal Reserve agent, I am a bank in a state. I am not a borrower. This is not a borrower-creditor agreement. This is a deposit of a promissory note. This is an eligible paper agreement where Congress has guaranteed this transaction for both parties. Congress is the one who said my note, when delivered to a Federal Reserve agent, is received at par and becomes the obligation of the Federal Reserve agent. The Federal Reserve agent and the Federal Reserve are responsible for delivering that note to the Treasury, whereby Federal Reserve notes are given in exchange. I don't owe anything, but this is a trust agreement. And the so-called intermediary bank is the agent or trustee or fiduciary. That's at Operating Circular 10, Section 12.3, the borrower in custody agreement. And proof of this is Operating Circular 10, Appendix number 3, which shows I'm the U.S. borrower, the bank is doing this on my behalf, and the funds are coming from the Federal Reserve. This is a three-party agreement. I am the grantor and the beneficiary in this agreement. Prove this, please. Ladies and gentlemen, that says a whole lot, doesn't it? You guys have some research to do. Below is the pure legal presumption, the rebuttal proof. Delivery of the promissory note to a Federal Reserve agent is a statutory deposit of eligible paper. It's not a loan. It's a deposit under law. This is not a simple contract. Now, that's the first thing you need to understand. You are a bank as a matter of law when you transmit a promissory note in banking business. Person engaged in banking business, including any person who issues, transfers, or presents a substitute check or negotiable instrument in the process of collection. Bank. By substitute, you act as a bank when you delivered a promissory note for settlement. Do you not understand? It's a settlement. It's not a loan. You are settling the transaction when you delivered a promissory note. The intermediary bank, Wells Fargo, is a Federal Reserve agent, a fiduciary. Every membered bank is, by substitute, an agent of the Federal Reserve for receiving deposits of eligible paper. Okay? Now, this matches exactly the third-party trust structure shown by the uploaded material regarding custody. Now, the Federal Reserve agent becomes the obligor upon receipt of the note, not you. They are charging the wrong party. They're suing the wrong party. The Federal Reserve Bank became the obligor. They are suing the wrong party. It's a wrongful foreclosure, people. Don't take my word for it. I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy. Do your research. All elements of a trust are present. The promissory note, eligible paper, documented in the file describing custodian, bank, holding, borrower, created notes. It's the borrower in custody agreement. The grantor settler, you created and you delivered the note. Therefore, you are the grantor. The trustee, the intermediary bank, Wells Fargo, holds the note as a custodian on your behalf. They are a trustee. And the DACA agreement confirms the tri-party agreement. It's a trust. The beneficiary of the agreement is you. The purpose, the bank is just a party of interest. That's all. The Federal Reserve Bank, sorry. Conclusion of law, this is a trust. It's not a loan. Rebuttal to all presumptions to the contrary, and it rebuts it. Ta-da. Now hold on. You said by the uploaded document, so now I want you to prove it via independent sources, i.e., facts and conclusions of the law. Below is an independent proof supporting it. Eligible paper must be received at par. I didn't say it. Conclusion of law. Facts of law. The party delivering a promissory note is a bank under federal statute. Person engaged in banking business. Fact of law. Membered banks are Federal Reserve agents for receiving eligible paper. And fact of law. Eligible paper is collateral for Federal Reserve notes and remain the property of the depositor. The eligible paper is your property. Fact of law. A trust exists when property is transferred to be held by one party for the benefit of another. Wells Fargo is not holding your property for your benefit. They're not holding your promissory note for their benefit. They're holding it, I'm sorry, for their benefit, both of them. They're holding it for your benefit. It is trust res. It's a trust agreement. Now, if you go and you read, you'll find out that a trust exists whenever one party is holding property for another party on behalf of that party. See, a creator of a financial instrument remains eligible owner unless expressly and fully divested. You've never divested your interest in the agreement. A trust exists whenever a property is transferred to one party to be held for the benefit of another, regardless of how it is labeled. It's not a simple contract. Now watch this. I need you to provide proof that this is not a simple contract, as presumed by the court and the alleged creditor. And I also need you to prove that the alleged creditor cannot be a creditor in such circumstances under no provision of law. They're not the creditor, ladies and gentlemen. All right, you will get this GPT. You can go ahead and play with it, get it to do whatever you need. It's already primed for you. A simple contract requires mutual assent consideration, and reciprocal obligations. Reciprocal obligations. This is foundational contract doctrine applied universally and recognized by the United States Supreme Court. However, when Congress enacts a statutory mechanism that transfers the transaction into a deposit, custody, or fiduciary process, the contract doctrine no longer applies. My bad. Conclusion of law. A transaction governed by the Federal Reserve Act cannot be a simple contract. A transaction involving a DACA agreement cannot be a simple contract. A transaction involving a trust agreement cannot be a simple contract. You are a bank under federal statute for delivering a negotiable instrument to the bank. It's negotiable because it's endorsed. It has a pay to the order statement on it. It is in blank. You act as a bank, not as a borrower. Membered banks are Federal Reserve agents, not creditors. Sorry. 12 U.S.C. 414 shows that they're not a creditor. 12 U.S.C. 414, go read it. They're not a creditor. They're not a lender. They're an agent. Simple contract cannot exist where legal and equitable title are divided. A trust arises whenever property is transferred from one party and held in a benefit for another, regardless of the form of the label. The maker of the instrument remains eligible owner, equitable owner, until fully vested. OID? OID. Hey, OID! Yeah, I'm talking to you. OID, get on over here. Yeah, I just wanna let you know I'm coming to talk to you in a minute, okay? Yeah, because I'm the original owner and I'm the guy with all the power. I've got the power! Yeah, hey. Whoa. You know what I'm saying? It's because it's getting kind of heavy, ain't it? Sorry. Proof that the alleged creditor cannot be a creditor under any law. The alleged creditor never purchased a note, are not purchased by intermediary banks, are not funded by intermediary banks, are not loans from intermediary banks, are not exchanged by Federal Reserve or Treasuries. Not the intermediary bank creates a Congress, not the intermediary bank creates the obligation. Conclusion of law, the party who does not supply their own funds cannot legally be a creditor. There's no evidence that the bank loaned you a dime. Yeah, there's a contract that says in exchange for the funds that I received. Pay attention. There's a contract that says that, but that contract, when deposited, that contract is fulfilled. Eligible paper becomes an obligation of the Federal Reserve agent. See, shall be the responsibility for such collateral. I didn't say it. The agent is the obligator, not you. Ta-da. And pay attention. The creditor must have a probable claim under the Supreme Court doctrine. So, like I said, I'm tired. I'm about to go lay down because it really has been a long day. I just wanted to get this information to you guys about the trust agreement, about your position. Ladies and gentlemen, stop bringing up all those other dumb, lame arguments that ain't got nothing to do with the law, and hit them with the law. Hit them with the law. Have a good day, y'all.